Castro is yielding power to the country's 60-year-old president, Miguel Diaz-Canel. Tell us more about him.
Well, I mean, it's 60 years old. It may sound relatively old to most people listening around the world, but in Cuban terms, he's pretty much a spring chicken. You know, the Castros and the Castro generation have ruled now for decades. And the party, to a degree, has become ossified as a consequence. And I think Raul Castro himself was saying on Friday, when he made his speech to the Communist Party Congress, held once every 5 years, when he made the announcement that he was stepping down, that the party did need regeneration. And so Miguel Diaz-Canel is really the man they're turning to in the hope that he will do that. 60 years old, turning 61 quite soon, a technocrat. He was once the bodyguard, curiously enough, of Fidel Castro. But he's established himself as a man who, although he wants to stick firmly to the notion of one-party rule, Communist Party rule, in other words, in Cuba, is prepared to make some reforms. Whilst he's been president since 2018, a number of economic reforms in particular have been introduced, in loosening up, for instance, the possibilities for setting up one's own enterprise. It's still very difficult. The bureaucracy is immense, but the possibilities are there for people to set up restaurants and that sort of thing now. He's loosened up, for instance, on the internet, social media. It's possible now to go on your phone and log on to the social media and at home as well. But there are concerns at the same time in the party that perhaps they've gone too far. These are things that they're going to be talking about and will certainly be issues that he is going to have to address very closely in the months and years ahead. Another big issue is, as I was hinting at earlier on, regeneration of the party. The party has stagnated over the last few decades, and there is a recognition that younger people have to be brought in. But how do you bring younger people in to the party if the people feel that they've had enough of it in the first place?
Rob, you have described Miguel Diaz-Canel as a man who's prepared to make reforms, but of course it's not going to be an easy feat. As I mentioned earlier, a plethora of challenges await him, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. The economy is the biggest one. Last year was catastrophic for Cuba. The economy wasn't in good shape anyway. But with the pandemic, with the effect of the sanctions from Donald Trump's administration, things have become immensely more tough. The economy shrunk by 11% in 2020, much of that because of the collapse of tourism, which is such an important component of the Cuban economy, in the sense that it brings in a rare source of foreign currency. You know, the economy was so badly hit by the pandemic. And curiously, in a way, too, the introduction of new reforms, financial reforms, although absolutely necessary, has made life more difficult for the ordinary man on the street. These food shortages are a critical problem. Just last week, for instance, you know, there was an announcement that fresh chickens were going to be sold at one shop in Havana, the capital, for pesos rather than dollars. Immediately, a massive queue formed. There were fights on the streets. The police had to be brought in. It gives you an idea of just how critical the food situation is in the country at the moment. Food shortages everywhere, shops, shelves almost empty. And the other big problem, which I hinted at earlier, the problem of regeneration of the party. How do you get young people to join the party now when they feel so cynical about it?
Indeed, many challenges await, and what you described, empty shop shelves. I used to live there in Cuba, Rob, and it seems like nothing has changed since those early years in the 2000s. Thank you so much for that really insightful and colourful analysis there.